Every Jeep owner has an opinion on the greatest engine ever built. But opinions don't matter at 200,000 miles. That's where engines either prove themselves or become expensive regrets. We put the legendary 4.0 inline-six, the 3.6 Pentastar, and the 2.0 turbo to the test using real owner reports, recalls, and high-mileage failures. By the end, one clear winner stands above the rest. Getting to 200,000 miles used to be a big deal. Now it's the real test. It's the line where cheap engines fall apart and legends earn their name. Jeep's built three engines people argue about constantly. The AMC 4.0 inline-six from the old days, the 3.6 Pentastar that powers almost every modern Jeep, and the 2.0 turbo Jeep's been pushing since 2018. All three claim to be bulletproof. However, when you pull the actual data from Jeep forums and NHTSA recall reports, one starts looking way better than the other two. One is running beyond 400,000 miles on original parts. The next has a defect that costs owners thousands to fix. And the third just got hit with a fire recall that pulled 112,000 Jeeps off the road overnight. By the end, you'll know exactly which one belongs under your hood and which one to run from. Starting with the AMC 4.0 inline-six, the engine everyone calls unkillable. Jeep dropped this engine into the Cherokee XJ back in 1987, and it stuck around all the way to 2006. That's almost 20 straight years of the same basic engine, and Jeep barely changed anything because it just kept working. The block is cast iron, the head is cast iron. The crankshaft sits on 7 main bearings, which means the crank gets supported at every single journal. Bottom end failure on this engine is almost unheard of. When it launched in 1987, it made 173 horsepower. Jeep bumped that up to 190 horsepower with the high output revision in 1991, and by the 2001 through 2006 run, it was cranking out 190 horsepower and 235 pound-feet of torque. Not impressive by today's numbers, not even in the same universe as a modern Turbo 4. But that's the whole point of this engine. The 4.0 doesn't try to be fast. It sits at low RPM, delivers a wide, flat torque curve, and just refuses to quit. There's an owner on Wrangler forum who posted that his 1997 Wrangler hit 336,000 original miles and was still running strong every morning. Another guy reported his 1998 Cherokee at 413,000 trouble-free miles. Wikipedia and independent engine builders like Golan all confirm the same story over and over. Getting past 300,000 miles on one of these is genuinely common if you just change the oil on time. Some XJ owners have posted odometer photos rolled past 500,000 miles on the original short block, and the engine still fires up first crank in the middle of winter. That kind of longevity isn't luck. It's the design working exactly the way AMC engineered it back in the 80s. However, there's one specific cylinder head problem you have to know about before you buy. There's a head called the 0331 casting, used in 2000 and 2001, and between cylinders 3 and 4, that head can crack. When it cracks, coolant leaks straight into the oil. You'll see a milky tan line under the valve cover if it's happening. Jeep fixed the design mid-2001 with the Tupi casting, and any 0331 head with Tupi stamped on it is fine. The forum consensus is that the risk is exaggerated, because plenty of non-Tupi 0331 heads have hit 300,000 miles with no crack at all. But if you ever overheat one, that's when it fails hard. Now let me tell you about the Jeep ebook I put together, because if you own a Jeep, you need it. It's a full buying and maintenance guide covering every engine we're talking about today. The link is in the description right below. The other weak points on the 4.0 are cheap and predictable. Exhaust manifolds crack. Manifold bolts snap off inside the head. You'll hear a ticking sound on cold start, and that's your sign. Crank position sensors fail out of nowhere and leave you stranded with a no start. Rear main seals leak a little. Valve cover gaskets leak too. The oil pump wears out around 145,000 miles and needs replacing. All of this is normal maintenance stuff on a 20-year-old engine, and none of it costs much money. A replacement 0331 head runs about $455 from Clearwater Cylinder Head. RepairPal lists exhaust manifold gasket replacement between $440 and $715 depending on the model. Total cost of ownership at 200,000 miles is the lowest of any Jeep engine ever built. Real-world fuel economy sits between 15 and 20 miles per gallon, with some XJ owners reporting up to 25 miles per gallon on a gentle highway cruise at 60 miles an hour. It's not efficient, it's not modern, but when you twist the key at 300,000 miles and it fires right up like day one, none of that stuff really matters much. The 4.0 was built during an era when engines were designed to last forever, not to squeeze out 1 extra mile per gallon at the cost of reliability. That trade-off is exactly why used XJs and TJs still sell for real money today, 20 and 30 years after they left the factory in Toledo, Ohio. Now here's something about the 4.0 nobody talks about. Jeep redesigned the block in 1996 by adding extra webbing and a main bearing stud girdle. That's the block you actually want. The 7120 casting from that era is what engine builders prize because it's the strongest version ever made. If you find a 1999 to 2004 Cherokee XJ, Grand Cherokee WJ, or Wrangler TJ with a clean maintenance history and a well-kept 4.0, you're looking at the lowest risk, highest mileage engine Jeep has ever built. Zero debate. That's why every mechanic who's been around long enough tells you the exact same thing when you ask about the 4.0. It just refuses to die. That brings us to the 3.6 Pentastar, Jeep's modern workhorse. This is Jeep's most popular modern engine by a massive margin. Since 2011, over 10 million Pentastars have rolled off the line. It's under the hood of the Wrangler JK and JL, the Grand Cherokee WK2 and WL, the Gladiator, and half the Chrysler lineup. The specs are night and day compared to the old 4.0. It's a 3.6-liter V6 with an aluminum block, cast iron cylinder liners, aluminum heads, dual overhead cams, 24 valves, and dual independent variable valve timing. In the Wrangler JL, it makes 285 horsepower and 260 pound-feet of torque. In the Grand Cherokee, it goes up to 293 horsepower with 6,200 pounds of towing capacity. The Pentastar can absolutely hit 200,000 miles. It's not even close. There's a documented 2014 Ram ProMaster with the same 3.6 Pentastar that ran 626,000 miles before it finally came apart. And when the mechanics tore it down, the cylinder walls still showed the factory cross-hatching pattern. The rod bearings still had life left. The only real damage was broken plastic timing chain guides and worn tensioners. The owner changed the oil every 8,000 miles with Valvoline or Mobil 1. That was it. Forum owners regularly report 198,000 miles on 2014 Grand Cherokees, 170,000 miles on Seattle taxis, and Ram ProMaster fleet vans hitting 400,000 kilometers with zero engine work done. However, there's a catch, and this is where a lot of buyers get burned hard. The 2011 through 2013 Pentastars have a defect in the left cylinder head. Specifically, the number 2 cylinder valve seats overheat, which causes a misfire and throws codes P0300 and P0302. It was never a formal recall. Instead, Chrysler quietly extended the warranty to 10 years or 150,000 miles and released Bulletin 09-002-14 with a redesigned head, part number RL141353AC. There's a way to spot a good replacement head. The date code on the casting has to read 2062 or higher, meaning the head was built after the 206th day of 2012. Anything earlier is suspect. If you're shopping a 2011 to 2013 Wrangler or Grand Cherokee, that's the very first thing you check before you sign anything. Pop the hood, find the casting number, verify the date, and if the seller can't produce paperwork showing the head was replaced under the warranty extension, walk away right then. Too many buyers skip this step and end up eating a $3,000 repair 2 months after the sale. The other Pentastar problems are the tick and the oil filter housing. The Pentastar tick comes from a rocker arm needle bearing failure inside the head. If you ignore that tick sound coming from the top of the engine, the rocker will eventually wipe out your camshaft, and now you're deep into a serious repair job with the head off the engine. RepairPal lists cylinder head replacement on a Wrangler between $2,797 and $3,230. On a Cherokee, it goes up to $3,451. Forum owners report dealer quotes anywhere between $2,700 and $5,500 for the head job. The plastic oil filter housing sits right in the valley of the engine, and heat cycling makes it warp and crack over time. When it fails, oil leaks straight down into the engine bay. Replacement costs run $800 to $1,400. Every experienced Pentastar owner tells you the same fix. Skip the OEM plastic housing and upgrade to the Dorman aluminum unit. It's the single best money you'll spend on this engine. There's also an active class action lawsuit called Maugain versus FCAUS, filed in Delaware federal court back in January 2022, under case number 1:22-CV-00116-GBW. The case alleges 2014 and newer Pentastars still have head and valve train defects the company knew about but didn't disclose to buyers. In February 2023, Judge Gregory Williams denied FCA's motion to dismiss on the implied warranty and unjust enrichment claims, which means the case is still moving forward right now through discovery. That's not a small deal at all, and it tells you the defect story isn't fully behind us yet, even on newer Pentastars off the same production line. Buyers of 2014 and later Jeeps should still budget for possible headwork down the road, just to stay safe with their money. The best years for the Pentastar are 2015 and newer. The valve train revisions from 2014 onward cleaned up most of the tick problems, and the 2016 PUG upgrade brought two-stage variable valve lift and 11.3-to-1 compression. That's the version you want. Get a 2015 or newer Pentastar Jeep with clean maintenance records, install the aluminum oil filter housing before it fails, change the oil every 5,000 miles, and this engine will absolutely take you past 200,000 miles. It's the best all-around modern Jeep engine you can actually buy today. And that leaves the 2.0 Turbo, the newest engine in the whole lineup. Jeep started dropping the 2.0 Turbo into the Wrangler JL and Cherokee KL in 2018, and it's now in the Grand Cherokee WL too. Under the badge, it says Hurricane 4. On paper, it looks incredible. It's a 2.0-liter turbocharged inline-4 with an aluminum block, iron liners, dual overhead cams, dual variable valve timing, a twin-scroll turbo bolted right to the head, direct injection, and 10-to-1 compression. It makes 270 horsepower at 5,250 revolutions per minute and 295 pound-feet of torque at just 3,000 revolutions per minute. That's more torque than the Pentastar, delivered lower in the rev range where it actually matters. It also gets better fuel economy, up to 20 city and 23 highway in the Wrangler. 0 to 60 happens in around 6.3 seconds. On paper, this engine sounds like the future. In real life, that's where the problems start piling up fast. Owners on the Jeep Cherokee Club forum keep reporting the same exact failure over and over. Cylinder number 2 eats itself alive. One owner posted his 2019 Cherokee blew a piston in cylinder 2 at 60,847 miles. Jeep initially quoted him $13,000 to fix it, and he had to fight customer care for months before they finally covered it. Another owner got a quote for $17,260 at 76,000 miles on a car that was less than 5 years old. A technician documented a melted piston at 58,000 miles with the cylinder wall worn through to bare aluminum, scored so bad the block itself was scrap metal. Another owner watched compression drop to 90 pounds per square inch in cylinder 2, while the 3 healthy cylinders sat at 160. That's not normal wear. That's an engine slowly grenading itself from the inside out. Every mechanic looking at these failures blames the same root cause. The turbo bolts to the head right above cylinder 2, and the heat concentrates there. When something goes slightly wrong with the fueling or cooling, cylinder 2 dies first every time. Spark plugs on this engine need replacing every 60,000 miles, not 100,000 like on the V6, and one owner even had a spark plug snap off inside cylinder 4 at 81,000 miles. However, that's not even the worst part of the 2.0 turbo story. On November 6, 2025, the NHTSA filed recall 25V-766, covering 112,859 Jeep 4xe vehicles running the 2.0 turbo. That's 36,840 Grand Cherokee 4xe and 76,019 Wrangler 4xe. The reason is sand contamination inside the engine block from the casting process at the factory. As of October 20th, 2025, FCA already had 144 warranty claims, 36 fires, 50 loss of propulsion reports, and 3 injuries directly tied to the failure. Jeep issued a do not drive warning and told owners to park the vehicles outside. Then, in April 2026, they had to recall another 2,689 Mopar replacement engines for the exact same sand casting defect. About 4.3% of the replacement engines had the same flaw too. That means owners who received a brand new engine to fix the recall might still be driving a defective one right now. There's also an ongoing class action investigation from the law firm Sauter-Shelkoff, targeting 2019 through 2023 Jeep Cherokee turbos for premature cylinder failure. It's not a filed lawsuit yet, but it's building fast. There's a technical service bulletin, 07-001-22, that covers coolant leaks from under-torqued water pump inlet tube bolts. When the coolant leaks and the engine overheats, that's when catastrophic failure happens on this engine. Real high-mileage examples of the 2.0 turbo do exist out there. There's a 2018 Wrangler JLU at 110,000 miles where an EGR cooler leak caused a 315-degree overheat, and the engine still runs fine today. Other owners have hit 96,000 and 98,000 miles with zero engine issues at all. However, nobody has verified a 150,000-mile 2.0 turbo publicly yet on any of the major Jeep forums. There's simply not enough long-term data because the engine is too new to have a real track record. If you're buying one, prefer a 2020 to 2022 model year because production quality had stabilized by then. Check the NHTSA recall database by VIN before you sign anything. Run the number through Jeep's owner site too. Insist on oil change records at 5,000-mile intervals with receipts, and buy an extended warranty because a failed engine is a $13,000 to $17,000 event straight out of your pocket. That's the reality of owning this engine in 2026. So after all that, one engine wins the 200,000-mile test. The honest verdict is simple. If your only goal is hitting 200,000 miles with the fewest expensive surprises, the AMC 4.0 Inline-6 is the clear winner by a mile. It's not even close. The iron block, 7 main bearings, cheap replacement parts, and dead simple design mean it just keeps going year after year. Documented owners are past 400,000 miles on original engines with basic maintenance. Nothing modern comes close to that kind of durability. However, if you want a modern Jeep to drive daily and take to 200,000 miles, the 3.6 PENTASTAR is the smarter, real-world pick every time. Buy a 2015 or newer, upgrade the oil filter housing to aluminum before it cracks, change the oil every 5,000 miles, and you're set for a very long time. The 2.0 turbo is the fastest and most efficient of the three, but the failure pattern is real. The recalls are still active, and the repair bills are absolutely brutal when they hit. Skip it unless you're getting a smoking deal with an extended warranty and clean records that check out. The 4.0 wins on raw durability. The PENTASTAR wins on real-world value. And the 2.0 turbo has the most to prove before anyone should trust it with big miles on the clock. 10 years from now, the story might change once we have real long-term data on the turbo. Right now, the 2 older engines are still the safer bet with your money. So now I want to hear from you. Which of these 3 engines would you trust to take past 200,000 miles? And which one would you never buy? Drop your answer in the comments below. If you found this comparison helpful, hit that subscribe button because every week I break down Jeep engines, maintenance, and expensive mistakes that can save you thousands. And if you want the complete buying and maintenance guide covering every Jeep engine, common failure points, and exactly how to keep yours running for hundreds of thousands of miles, check out my Jeep longevity guide using the link in the description. Now click the video on your screen to keep watching, and I'll see you over there.